You've been trained to believe that an expensive suit means you're getting more, that the logo stitched inside the jacket is a promise. It isn't. Right now, across the menswear world, some of the most respected names on earth are charging you flagship money for a garment that was built to a budget, and they're betting you'll never learn the difference. Here's the cruel part. The suit still looks the part on the hanger. It photographs beautifully, and it carries a name people recognize. Then you wear it for one season. The chest starts to bubble. The shoulders begin to collapse, and you finally understand what happened. You paid for the marketing, not the craft. There's one thing that separates a real luxury suit from an expensive costume, and it's hidden where you can't see it. Inside a true jacket, there's a layer of canvas, often woven with horsehair, stitched in by hand so it floats against the cloth and molds to your body a little more every time you wear it. That canvas is usually cut from wool, often a worsted wool or a finely spun merino, and in the best suits, the outer fabric itself is rated to a Super 120S or Super 150S standard, which tells you how fine the individual fibers are. These numbers matter because they're the difference between cloth that breathes and drapes beautifully and cloth that just photographs well. Inside a cut corner jacket, that canvas is gone. It's replaced with fused glue, pressed flat by a machine in seconds. Glue is cheaper and faster, and it's exactly what a lot of these brands are selling you under a 4-figure price tag. So here's the list. 7 so-called luxury suit brands that are quietly cutting corners, counting down to the worst offender of them all. And then, because not everyone in this business is lying to you, 5 brands that are still genuinely worth every dollar. The offenders, counting down. Number 7. Ted Baker. Ted Baker is a British high street fashion brand wearing the costume of something more serious. The pricing flirts with entry-level luxury. The stores are polished, the patterns are playful, and the suits underneath are fused, mass-produced, and engineered for a single good photograph. None of that is a crime, if you know what you are buying. The trouble is that the price and the presentation are designed to make you think you are buying an investment. What you are actually getting is a fashion piece for one good season. Wear it to a wedding you will attend once, and it does its job. Build a wardrobe around it, and it will let you down by spring. Number 6. Versace. With Versace, you're paying the logo tax. The Medusa head does an enormous amount of heavy lifting, and the pricing sits firmly in luxury territory. But a large share of the tailoring is fused, and it's built for impact in a nightclub photo, not longevity on a real body. This is clothing made to be loud, to be seen, to announce a brand from across a room. That's a perfectly legitimate thing to want. It just isn't the same thing as craftsmanship, and Versace charges you as if it were. Number 5. Dolce & Gabbana. Dolce & Gabbana sells spectacle, and it sells it brilliantly. The fabrics are gorgeous, the cuts are theatrical, the runway is unforgettable, but at the price points where ordinary buyers actually shop, the construction inside doesn't match the spectacle on the catwalk or the number on the receipt. You are paying for the fantasy of the brand far more than the build of the garment. It's a suit made to be admired in the moment, not one made to quietly serve you for 20 years. Number 4. Emporio Armani. This one needs a careful distinction because Giorgio Armani's main line is the real thing. Soft, intelligent, beautifully made. The trouble lives in the diffusion lines. Emporio Armani and the labels beneath it borrow the aura of the master's name and attach it to mass-produced, often fused garments sold at a designer markup. Same surname on the label, very different thing on the inside. Most shoppers never learn that the Armani they can afford and the Armani that earned the reputation are, in construction terms, barely related. Number 3. Hugo Boss. Hugo Boss is the poster child for this whole problem. An empire built almost entirely on perception. The price says boardroom. The construction across most of the range says department store, fused, mass-produced, engineered for margin above all else. What makes the trick work is that a Boss suit often fits sharply right off the rack, and that feels like quality in the mirror. But fit and construction are two different things. One flatters you on the day you buy it, the other decides whether the suit still exists in 5 years. Boss has spent decades making sure you only ever think about the first one. Number 2. Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren built one of the most powerful aspirational images in all of fashion. At the very top, that image is earned. Purple label is superb, made in Italy, properly constructed. The issue is everything riding underneath it. The polo line and the lower tiers lean on the prestige of that halo while delivering fused, multi-country construction at prices that quietly imply purple label quality. The dream sells the cheaper suit. You're buying the photograph of a world and receiving a far more ordinary garment than that photograph promised. Number 1. Tom Ford. The worst offender on this list isn't the worst made. It's the worst value, and by a wide margin. The garments themselves are genuinely good, largely because much of the tailoring is produced under the Ermenegildo Zegna umbrella. And that's exactly the problem. You can pay $5,000 and up for a Tom Ford suit whose construction lives much closer to a Zegna-made garment, costing a fraction of that. More than anywhere else in menswear, you're paying for 2 words stitched into the lining. The name is magnificent. The markup is indefensible. That's the part of this business that should make you angry. Here's the part that should give you some hope. Because a handful of houses are still doing it the hard way, still floating canvas by hand, still weaving their own cloth, still charging a fair price for genuine work. 5 brands worth every dollar, counting up to the best of them all. Number 5. Suitsupply. Suitsupply isn't old money luxury, and to its credit, it never pretends to be. What it is the best raw value in tailoring today. Half canvassed and full canvassed construction. Real cloth, typically Super 100s and Super 110s wools, often sourced from respected mills like Vitale Barberi's Canonico. Sharp, modern fits, at a fraction of what the names at the top of that first list charge you for glue. For the overwhelming majority of men watching this, a Suitsupply suit is the single smartest piece of money in the room. More honest construction per dollar than almost anything else you can walk in and buy. Number 4. Canali. Canali is quietly excellent in a way the fashion press almost never rewards. A family-owned Italian house that has mostly refused to play the logo game, it just keeps producing well-canvassed, beautifully balanced, made-in-Italy suits year after year. Look closely and you'll find clean lapel roll, hand-sewn pick stitching along the edges, and working buttonholes on the cuffs, the kind of details that signal a garment actually finished by a human being. No diffusion line diluting the name, no marketing circus inflating the price. You pay for the suit, and the suit is the point. It's the kind of brand a tailor recommends to a friend, not the kind an algorithm pushes at a stranger. Number 3. Ermenegildo Zegna. Zegna is the maker behind the makers. It spins its own cloth in its own mills, and it tailors its own garments. And yes, some of that cloth reaches Super 150s and beyond, using Loro Piana grade fibers that almost no other brand can match at scale. That is precisely why so many other luxury names quietly route their production through it. When you buy Zegna directly, you are buying the source, instead of paying a second brand's markup stacked on top of that source. The fabric expertise alone puts it among the most important names in the entire industry, and for what you actually receive, the pricing is fair. Number 2. Brioni. Brioni is Roman tailoring at its most serious. Hand-canvassed, hand-finished, carrying a bespoke heritage that genuinely shows up in the construction, not just the advertising. The lapels are rolled by hand over a canvas pad, not pressed flat by a machine. You can feel the difference the moment you lay the jacket on a table. Yes, it's expensive. But unlike the brand sitting at the bottom of the offender list, The price is fastened directly to real, visible, hand-built craft. This is what the money is supposed to buy. With Brioni, it actually does. Number 1. Kiton. At the very top of the pyramid, there is Kiton. Made in Naples, almost entirely by hand, it is built around the soft, shirt-like Neapolitan shoulder, the spalla camicia, which the craftsmen of that city spent generations perfecting. The cloth is extraordinary. Super 180s and Super 200s wools that most brands cannot even source, often finished with a Bemberg lining that breathes as well as the outer fabric. Each suit takes a small team of artisans many hours to complete. If you have ever handled a Savile Row bespoke garment and marveled at how alive it feels compared to anything ready to wear, Kiton is the closest thing the ready-to-wear world has to that standard. It costs a fortune, and that is the whole reason it is here, because unlike the name at the bottom of that first list, Kiton is actually worth its fortune. What you are paying for is the human hand, not the hype, and you can feel the difference the moment you put it on. So before you spend serious money on your next suit, do one small thing. Open the jacket, pinch the front panel between 2 fingers, down near the bottom button, and feel for a third loose layer floating between the outer cloth and the lining. If it's there, you're holding real construction. If the front feels stiff and glued together as one flat board, you're holding a markup with a famous name on it. While you're at it, check the cuffs. Working buttonholes that actually unbutton are a small sign that someone cared enough to finish the job properly. The label will never tell you the truth. Your fingers will.